Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In behalf of my co-authors, I'm Orbon, and I'll be presenting our research paper entitled Tropical Campus Grounds, Providing Thermally Comfortable Outdoor Open Spaces for the University of the Philippines Campuses. The Philippines has a hot and humid climate, largely due to its geographical location and physical characteristics. The combination of the usual high temperature as a tropical country and humidity contributes to the higher heat index for most of the area in the country, most especially during the summer months, which is April and May. There are a lot of researches and studies conducted with regards to indoor thermal comfort. In the past few years, a number of studies on outdoor thermal comfort have already been started for several countries, but not that much, especially for areas with hot and humid climates, such as the Philippines. The lack of studies on outdoor thermal comfort is probably due to the wide range of elements and factors that may affect outdoor spaces and environments. Considered as a national university, the main campus of the University of the Philippines in Diliman, Quezon City is a 493-hectare campus that is composed of different land uses for various functions. Each land use acts as support for other areas within the campus in service of the university's main function of catering to the needs and rights of the Filipino people for quality education to the highest level possible. The delivery, completeness, and level of exclusivity of the support facilities and services within the campus are critical and important for the faculty, staff, and students to perform well towards achieving academic excellence. Of these land uses, outdoor open spaces can be essential to the function of the university through the provision of opportunities for social and recreational activities. The UP Diliman campus, highly regarded as an oasis of green open space in the metropolitan Manila area, has greatly contributed in addressing the detrimental effects of the urban heat island effect in the metro, having warmer temperature, higher heat index, etc. The retention of open spaces, lush vegetation, and use of sustainable materials for structures and landscapes are just some of the strategies being utilized by the university to mitigate the negative impact of UHI to the habitability of the campus. The Office of Design and Planning Initiatives, under the Office of the Vice President for Development of the UP System, prepared the 2014 UP Master Development Plan for various campuses of the university. This set of physical planning and design guidelines is a referral code exclusive to the university in accordance with the principle of one university, one UP, that is, to integrate and unite the whole university while addressing the issues of energy, environment, and ecological concerns. These outdoor open spaces, with varying urban form and fabric, depending on the visible physical elements, are used as social and recreational areas not only by the UP community, but also by various people from outside the university. With this, providing comfortable outdoor open spaces must be considered. A thermally comfortable outdoor environment may even affect the indoor atmosphere and may be beneficial in lowering the use of energy for space conditioning within buildings. Using selected outdoor campus grounds of UP Diliman campus for the case study, and the UP students as user respondents for the survey, the aim of this paper is to establish guidelines for future developments within UP Diliman and other campuses as well, particularly on providing thermally comfortable outdoor open spaces. The first phase of the project was focused on the preference for selection and use, as well as the perception and outdoor thermal comfort of UP Diliman students as major users of open spaces within the campus. For this study, 6 outdoor open spaces within the UP Diliman campus were pre-selected due to the large volume of students staying in these areas, which is an important factor for conducting the survey, as well as the proximity of the spaces from each other due to the limitations of the tools for measurement of environmental parameters. These outdoor open spaces were divided into pairs, with each pair almost having the same urban form and fabric used for comparison in determining the effects of the physical development factors to outdoor thermal comfort. The selected study sites include the following. For building entrances, we have the Palma Hall or Arts and Sciences steps, and the Gonzales Hall or the UPD Main Library entrance steps. For large open fields, we have the General Antonio Luna Parade Grounds, or popularly known as Sunken Garden, and the former UP Diliman Athletic Track Oval. And lastly, for the student hangout areas, we have the Vincent's Hill Tambayan Complex and the former Rizal Hall or Faculty Center, the hangout areas at the back of the former Rizal Hall or Faculty Center. The proximity of AS steps, main library steps, and FC Tambayan from the academic buildings allow most of the students to stay or hang out at these spaces. Sunken Garden has the most number of people staying or hanging out due to its central location and easy access not only from students but from outsiders as well. The UP Track Oval, located near the entrance gate along Commonwealth Avenue, is also open to the public. Several outsiders are also occupying some of the spaces at the hangout areas of various student organizations within the Vincent Seal Tabayan Complex due to the ease of access and absence of barriers on site. According to Dr. Eric Johansson and Dr. Rohinton Emanuel, the four environmental parameters that influence thermal comfort are air temperature, median radiant temperature, relative humidity, and wind speed or air movement. These parameters were measured for at least 2 weeks each during the coldest period and during the hottest period of 2015 from different selected locations within the UP Diliman campus. Using various tools or devices to measure the four environmental parameters stated, the researchers determined the average microclimate in each of the pre-selected locations twice a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. For this study, the bioclimatic chart for outdoors created by Hungarian architect Victor Olgi, pioneer of the bioclimatism, was used to analyze the outdoor thermal comfort for the selected open spaces in UP Diliman campus. The chart shows the effects of air temperature, relative humidity, and wind speed on the outdoor thermal comfort within the selected sites. Considering all the responses across all sites in the survey, most of the students are using the selected outdoor open spaces within the campus for staying or hanging out and meeting with friends. The abundance of open grounds within the UP Diliman campus makes such spaces a good place for the aforementioned activities, in addition to the fact that it is an open campus wherein any outsider can enter or access the areas within the campus premises. The UP Diliman campus is a small community in itself, with residences and establishments present in the area aside from the academic buildings. Some of the respondents also utilized these outdoor open spaces for recreational and leisure activities, such as playing outdoor games or enjoying sports, and finally, for studying, being within academic grounds. Based on the survey, the most important factors identified were natural ventilation, shaded or covered from direct sunlight, benches for seating and outdoor lighting. Environmental parameters measured through natural ventilation and existence of shade from direct sunlight appear to be of top importance in terms of comfort by the users in utilizing the spaces. With this, it seems that the outdoor thermal comfort is an important matter to consider in selecting and utilizing outdoor open spaces for the students. Benches and outdoor lighting were also considered as important factors for additional comfort while staying or hanging out within these outdoor open spaces. Outdoor open spaces with bare ground soil, small spaces with adjacent buildings, structures, and concrete or paved flooring are of least importance for the students with regards to their selection and use of such spaces. The students also appear to select outdoor open spaces that are covered with grass more than bare ground soil or paved flooring. It might be due to the fact that the concrete flooring reflects heat more than the green or landscape areas, giving a cooler and more relaxing feeling for the users of such spaces. The presence of establishments near the outdoor open areas resulted to statistically significant difference in the responses between male and female students. Although both gender rated this factor as important, the female gave higher importance to the presence of the establishments nearby the outdoor open spaces. The accessibility of basic needs like food, drinks, personal stuff, etc. seems to be more important for female students. Aside from thermal comfort, the importance of safety and security in selecting outdoor open spaces was also emphasized, with the majority of the students considering outdoor lighting as an important factor. It was observed that few people stay at night in outdoor open spaces that have less visual surveillance and outdoor lighting. The flexibility in use of these outdoor open spaces can be considered also as an important factor. Although some students, most of the students suggested that repair and regular maintenance of these outdoor open spaces, most especially for areas with structures such as hangout areas and the like, should be considered also. Although some students were already satisfied with the current conditions of these outdoor open spaces, there were still some who recommended the improvements in these outdoor spaces, especially the provisions of the major factors mentioned earlier, the natural ventilation, etc. Factor analysis is a generic name given to a class of multivariate statistical methods whose primary purpose is data reduction and summarization. It addresses itself to the problem of analyzing the interrelationships among a large number of variables and then explaining these variables in terms of their common underlying dimensions called factors. So for this study, we have 4 underlying dimensions identified. The first one is the nature or green factor. This factor groups variables that describe a space which is in a natural state, such as the variable large open field with bare ground soil covered with trees, grass, and some plants. In terms of comfort, this type of open space is considered more by males than females, probably due to the various activities such as sports that can be done in these areas, and preferred also by those living within the campus. The next underlying dimension is accessibility factor. It groups variables that describe a space that has an accessible location with other establishments nearby. The level of comfort is probably seen by respondents as synonymous to having access to some basic needs like food establishments or comfort rooms. Third underlying dimension is the hardscapes factor. It groups variables that describe space which has already undergone some construction and improvements like concrete flooring, installed benches, and water features. This type of open space is considered more by females than males and those by living off campus. And the last underlying dimension is the thermal comfort factor. It groups variables that describe a space with natural airflow, lighting, and cover from sunlight, a kind of space for relaxation. And this type of open space is considered more by females than males and those living off campus who are looking for such relaxing spaces. With regards to orientation, the effects of urban form is more evident, with the difference in air temperature measurements between the building entrances. The positions of the buildings with respect to their entrance steps play important roles in providing shade from the direct sunlight to the open spaces at certain times of the day. With regards to ground cover and vegetation, the differences in types of surface materials, presence of tall trees and plants, and the surrounding built structures and landscapes in outdoor areas may be considered also as contributing factors in the microclimate of such open spaces. With regards to surrounding built structures and landscapes, having a barrier-free area maximizes the natural ventilation that may come from any direction, the same way that surrounding built structures can also be utilized to aid in the flow of wind towards these outdoor open spaces. The measurement and readings, particularly during the hot months, are consistently above or beyond the comfort zone as shown in the graph on all DI's bioclimatic chart. And yet, many students still utilize the selected outdoor open spaces for various activities. For the conclusion and recommendations, several factors, elements, and or features that must be considered in the design and planning of outdoor open spaces include the following: the user demographics, the actual use of the spaces, including the time of use, perception on outdoor thermal comfort, and their preferences in the selection. Given that these selected outdoor open spaces are used by many students, the actual outdoor comfort zone for users of open spaces in a tropical setting may differ from the predetermined one due to higher tolerance of the users on slightly hotter and more humid environment. Lastly, physical development factors such as orientation, ground cover and vegetation, surrounding landscape and build structures, and height and wind ratio affect the microclimate of these outdoor open spaces. And upon review of the master development plan and its provision for open spaces, most of the factors, elements, and or features derived from the findings of the study have already been considered and included in the manual. So, there are a few suggested guidelines that can be added or emphasized to further strengthen the aim of providing thermally comfortable outdoor open spaces for UP students. Thank you very much.